Institut Agama Islam Negeri Pontianak merupakan perguruan tinggi Islam negeri pertama yang ada di Kalimantan Barat. Terletak di pusat ibu kota provinsi, yaitu kota Pontianak. Terdiri dari 4 fakultas dan 20 program studi, Institut Agama Islam Negeri Pontianak kini membuka program studi baru, yaitu Tadris Bahasa Inggris. Institut Agama Islam Negeri jadi program studi yang unggul di Kalimantan Barat dalam menghasilkan calon pendidik bahasa Inggris profesional, terkemuka dan terbuka dalam mengembangkan keilmuan, keislaman, dan kebudayaan Borneo yang dinaungi oleh Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Ilmu Keguruan Institut Agama Islam Negeri Pontianak. Tadris Bahasa Inggris menyuguhkan berbagai fasilitas bagi mahasiswa.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to welcome you to Tadris English. On behalf of the board of Tadris English, I welcome you all and thank you for joining with us. And we graduated expected to be critical thinking, ethics, global awareness, and information literacy. So trust us, join with us, be a good English and be better English.
Adapun fasilitas yang disuguhkan antara lain ruang perpustakaan, di mana di sini mahasiswa dapat menemukan berbagai macam literasi yang tentunya dapat menambah wawasan sebagai penambah referensi bagi mahasiswa. Didampingi pula oleh tenaga pengajar yang berkompeten dan ahli di bidangnya, serta ruang kelas yang luas dengan kipas angin, air conditioner, dan proyektor. Dilengkapi pula dengan ruang teater sebagai tempat unjuk bakat mahasiswa, kegiatan English Corner yang mampu menambah wawasan kebahasa Inggrisan mahasiswa. Terdapat pula ruang praktik mengajar atau micro teaching, lahan parkir yang luas dan dilengkapi mesin tarik tunai, serta ruang tunggu bagi mahasiswa. Fasilitas selanjutnya adalah ruang akademik dan tata usaha yang merupakan pusat pelayanan bagi mahasiswa mengenai hal-hal yang berhubungan dengan administrasi dan sistem perkuliahan.
Saya Dr. Ali Asmi, MSI, selaku Dekan Eptik YIN Pontianak, berharap semoga kehadiran program studi Tadris Bahasa Inggris ini dapat mewadahi keinginan orang tua maupun keinginan para lulusan SLTA untuk melanjutkan pendidikan ke perguruan tinggi selain mendapatkan kemampuan dari program bahasa Inggris, tapi juga mendapatkan tambahan dengan basis agama Islam.
Selamat bergabung dengan kami, mahasiswa-mahasiswi Tadris Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris. Semoga dengan belajar bersama kami, kalian bisa meraih masa depan sebaik-baiknya. Dengan bahasa Inggris, kita menggapai dunia, menggapai masa depan. Bergabunglah bersama kami, enjoy with us, do the best, be the best.
Do the best, be the best.
Do the best and be the best.
Do the best, 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 be the best.
Welcome to Tadris English. Do the best, be the best. Institut Agama Islam Negeri Pontianak merupakan perguruan tinggi Islam negeri pertama yang ada di Kalimantan Barat. Terletak di pusat ibu kota provinsi, yaitu kota Pontianak. Terdiri dari 4 fakultas dan 20 program studi, Institut Agama Islam Negeri Pontianak kini membuka program studi baru, yaitu Tadris Bahasa Inggris. Dengan visi menjadi program studi yang unggul di Kalimantan Barat dalam menghasilkan calon pendidik bahasa Inggris profesional, terkemuka, dan terbuka dalam mengembangkan keilmuan, keislaman, dan kebudayaan Borneo yang dinaungi oleh Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Ilmu Keguruan Institut Agama Islam Negeri Pontianak, Tadris Bahasa Inggris menyuguhkan berbagai fasilitas bagi mahasiswa.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to welcome you to Tadris English. On behalf of the board of Tadris English, I welcome you all and thank you for joining with us. And we graduated expected to be critical thinking, ethics, global awareness, and information literacy. So trust us, join with us, be a good English and be better English.
Adapun fasilitas yang disuguhkan antara lain ruang perpustakaan, di mana di sini mahasiswa dapat menemukan berbagai macam literasi yang tentunya dapat menambah wawasan sebagai penambah referensi bagi mahasiswa. Didampingi pula oleh tenaga pengajar yang berkompeten dan ahli di bidangnya, serta ruang kelas yang luas dengan kipas angin, air conditioner, dan proyektor. Dilengkapi pula dengan ruang teater sebagai tempat unjuk bakat mahasiswa, kegiatan English Corner yang mampu menambah wawasan kebahasa Inggrisan mahasiswa. Terdapat pula ruang praktik mengajar atau micro teaching, lahan parkir yang luas dan dilengkapi mesin tarik tunai, serta ruang tunggu bagi mahasiswa. Fasilitas selanjutnya adalah ruang akademik dan tata usaha yang merupakan pusat pelayanan bagi mahasiswa mengenai hal-hal yang berhubungan dengan administrasi dan sistem perkuliahan.
Saya Dr. Aliasmi MSI selaku Dekan Eptik YIN Pontianak berharap semoga kehadiran program studi Tadris Bahasa Inggris ini dapat mewadahi keinginan orang tua maupun keinginan para lulusan SLTA untuk melanjutkan pendidikan ke perguruan tinggi selain mendapatkan kemampuan dari program bahasa Inggris tapi juga mendapatkan tambahan dengan basis agama Islam.
Selamat bergabung dengan kami, mahasiswa-mahasiswi Tadris Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris. Semoga dengan belajar bersama kami, kalian bisa meraih masa depan sebaik-baiknya. Dengan bahasa Inggris, kita menggapai dunia, menggapai masa depan. Bergabunglah bersama kami, enjoy with us, do the best, be the best.
Do the best, be the best.
Do the best and be the best.
Do the best, 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 be the best.
Welcome to Tadris English. Do the best, be the best.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to our webinar. Today is the second day, and we will have some presenters for today. There will be 4 sessions for today, 3 presentations and 1 panel discussions. And for the first presentation will be from Indonesia, and the moderator will be Ibu Nani Sobika. Before we go on, I would like to, as the program coordinator, I would like to tell you that our certificate is given, there will be 3 certificates and it's given every day. So be sure to register yourself when the committee is distributing the form for the certificate. Okay, without, I think we have to start. And please welcome the moderators, Ibu Nani Sobika, and our presenters, Bapak Dr. Urai Salam from Indonesia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening all participants from Indonesia, Thailand, and Pakistan, also abroad. I'm Nani Sabika. Here would like to introduce Mr. Urai Salam, PhD from Tanjung Pura University, as our first presenter here. I hope all of you in a good condition. In this beautiful location on Friday, September 25, 2020. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Mr. Urai Salam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you, Ibu Nani?
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Urai Salam will have 30 minutes to have a presentation and question and answer. And dear participant, please welcome Mr. Urai Salam from Tanjung Pura University, Indonesia. Thank you. Hope you enjoy.
Thank you, Ibu Nani and Ibu Istiqomah and all the participants, the audience today. Welcome to this TAPLIN conference. I think it is a very good idea that in this opportunity we are sharing our experiences, our perspective, our views about teaching English. In this opportunity, I would like to share my research under progress. I haven't finished this research, but I think I can share my experience. Let me share my my screen. Okay, everyone, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. We can see it.
Okay.
We can see it.
I call this, I give the title for my projects this year, my research project this year, Lockdown by Corona, the students learning through WhatsApp. This presentation is really share my experience in teaching English department student in our university, Tanjung Pura University in Pontianak. Okay. Why? To be honest, this is my, this year is really my first experience to teach any subjects here in our department. Really, the whole is in was a virtual mode where we teach our students in not face-to-face. Usually, I mean, in every semester we teach our student using technology, but we still have blended mode, yeah, meaning that we have face-to-face and also with technology. But because of Corona pandemics, today we are not allowed to have the face-to-face meeting in order to keep the social distancing. Now, it is a great challenge because, as I said, this is the first experience to teach the whole session in online. Now, the problem is that digital divide. I mean, the world is still divided. This is my experience. I used to send, for example, my paper about 3 years ago, reporting also very similar projects. I wrote the paper describing my experience teachings and how technology is still very problematic in here. But my paper was rejected only because the topic was no longer relevant to those European journals, for example, because you know, for some countries in developed countries, technology is really on place. You know, everyone can have access easily with technology. But for developing countries, this is still very very real. Particularly in Indonesia, this division is so real. Yeah, some parts even, I mean, in our place, yeah, in Indonesia, perhaps some parts of Indonesia are already very developed, well developed. Yeah, technology are also very easy to have, but in our place here in West Kalimantan, you know, there are so many places are very limited access to technology, even with limited access to electricity. Some of my students, for example, as usual, when I open my session in every lesson, I ask students to report their location. So then I just realized that my students are all part of West Kalimantan, and so they came from very remote area when electricity was really scarce and very limited. There are areas, for example, that only electrified. I mean, electricity only available from 5 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then after that, it's gone. The electricity is gone, and they have to have access to technology when they have to go to some places closer to the the district. You know, now. And events this week's some parts of West Kalimantan were flooded, you know, and no electricity, no connection. So this is a great challenge to have, I mean, to teach those students with no connection. But still, the lessons still keep running. Yeah, I mean, our classes. This is the conditions. So the study choose WhatsApp group, you know, instead of LMS, learning management system. In our university, Tanjung Pura University, we do have a learning system with Moodle-based learning system. We developed this quite well, and the teachers are very similar to common LMS. Yeah. But we still use, I mean, I myself use more WhatsApp group instead of LMS during this pandemic because of the situation that I told you, limited access to technology. Why? There are a few things here, a few reasons why I choose WhatsApp instead of e-learning system. WhatsApp's very good fit in multitasking because it is instant communication, and for of course, for student, we need cheap connection. I mean, with WhatsApp, we don't have to have a big quota, yeah, internet access, but with cheap, we have already, I mean, have opportunity to continue our classes. But because in our university, LMS is available, and for some courses are required to use LMS. So I combine between LMS, the e-learning system, and WhatsApp. So mostly the the e-learning system are for submitting the assignments, and some materials. Yeah, so I upload my material to e-learning system. But for communication, intense communication, and instant communications, we use WhatsApp group. Meanwhile, I mean, I have already introduced the situation in Indonesia, particularly in our place here in West Kalimantan, that technology in some parts are still very difficult. But we cannot deny whoever they are, I mean, wherever they are from, our students are in digital native. Yeah, even though they are from a very remote area, they are still very technology savvy. You know, they are very skillful in technology. We don't know, yeah. Even though they have, you know, I mean, rare to have a connection, but still they are very good at technology. So digital native and technology savvy, and some writers even talks about, I mean, describe these current generations alone together. Yeah, particularly Shirley Turkle in her book. The title of the book is Alone Together, to describe that the current generation is really, they are isolated but connected. They are busy by him or herself with their gadgets, but actually they are very socialized, but in different way. They are always on, meaning that I will show you the the data I mean from my study. That's their their interaction, their work, the times. It's really anytime, anywhere. They are multitasking, yeah, even multi-living, yeah. 10 years ago, people still talk about multitasking, that students do several things at once. Yeah. Not only, for example, writing a paper or doing assignments on their laptops or computers, but usually in their computers on the screen there are so many tabs, because they can switch easily from one tab to another tabs, showing their activity. So they really multiply themselves. Yeah, so for the student right now, it is not very difficult to switch from one kind of activity to another kinds of activities. Now this condition, I mean, this is the very rough descriptions of the nature of our student today. Now I observe, yeah, the researcher or the journals, the research reports. Yeah. I try to really find the ideas, you know, around the world, how people really report this situation, how technology really supports the learning, and I'm really curious how actually what actually students do with technology. But in fact, there are so many publications in journals, in conference proceeding, or book chapters. They are just claims. To me, they are claims because they're just saying the technology is very supportive, provides a very good idea, and so on like that. But without data. Yeah, there. Even though that's I mean, those are journal articles, but still, we want to know the the details. Yeah, how, for example, how technology really in support with students. Why the writer says that technology is good instead of distracting the students. You know. Now this what I call this is a claim, just claim. But there are some publications also show the statistical evidence, like participation increase. Yeah. I also have that kind of data, but for this opportunity, I still cannot show you the participation, but I can share a little bit. It's like this, yeah. Um, I know because I have met my students from the first semester. I know they are. So when we had face-to-face meeting, yeah, talking about the subject, yeah, only few students raise their hand or talks to raise questions or to respond to our talks in the class. But when the class moved into online mode, everyone talks. Yeah, everyone talks. So that's really the increase the participation in teaching learning process. And what also interesting is that I used to have, I mean, currently I have two modes of communication. So if, for example, I want students to share their opinions or their insights, but very a little bit sensitive questions, or it's really sharing their own perspective. Yeah, they don't like to be noticed who are speaking about what. Yeah, so that's why I also create the Google Docs. Yeah, Google Forms. So I ask questions, and then I said this is anonymous, so you can talk anything. What you said, what's your opinion about particular things. That I said I cannot detect your I mean I cannot detect your identity. Now the response even more. They can talk freely, even a bit. I mean they can express disagreement with our opinion, these things. But when, for example, using the WhatsApp a group, so where we can notice who post what, then they post a bit, moderate ideas, yeah, because they are recognized by the lecturers. Now, meaning that's this participation. And there are lots of study already reporting this kind of this kind of research. And the other statistical evidence is TAM, so Technology Acceptance Model. This is usually to detect, to measure the student acceptance or the teacher acceptance about technology. Or also usually they want to measure how skillful the student or the lecturers. Yeah, they use this kind of ideas, Technology Acceptance Model, introduced by Davis, I forgot, in 1989. Yeah. So this is a very quite long time ago, but technology is 20 years ago is different, but they still use these kind of ideas to do the research. And more also, studies about perception, technology, but perception and TEMs very similar. And also attitudes, how teacher attitude, for example, toward technology, pre-service teacher, for example, how they use technology and so on like that. Now, research, evidence-based research, this are very difficult to find. The research that reports technology, how technology enrich learning experiences, in what way, in specific instances or examples that they can find from the field. success stories, successful stories from the fields and things like that. And then access and the other claims, but this is, I mean, not only claims, that's I consider this evidence-based, access to authentic resources, particularly to our student as from English department, technology become the bridge between the student and the English. In Indonesia, English is still very foreign. What I can say, and in my place particularly, in our place here in West Kalimantan, where English, I mean, it is not easy to find English. It is not easy to find people use English. In whatever level, when you go to market, even nobody there using English. Or we go to schools, universities, still very few people use English, and even to the government offices, still not being used English. Now, English is still very foreign. We don't. I mean, the student. It is very hard for students to have access, to have real use of English in their daily life. Now, technology gives that surface. No longer, I mean, that's the foreignness of English in wherever we are around the world. I think English are already in place. By technology, it is very easy to find English, to find English resources, not only for reading or for listening, but also for communication in speaking. You can easily now to have channels where you can find people, partners, counterparts, and also to practice your English. So the students, as far as I mean, the teacher can encourage or can give them ways to connect with other people in the other parts of the world. Actually, it is very possible right now. So it is English become accessible. So technology become I mean, privilege for EFL. Now, beside that, technology, I mean, some reports also talks about the destructive or the bad things, bad sides of technology. That's why I saw here addictive, destructive lurking, and usually that comes together with with the good things. Now, this is methodology in my research. What I said methodology here is, I mean, the data. I use so many, I mean, possibility to have the data from LMS, so the tracking records and also students' communication that happen in LMS, and also chat, track records, chat archive, questionnaires, add-on here. We have a system to evaluate evaluate the lectures by the students. So they have their own voice to say, but this appear every semester. So we can also, I can also take the data from that. So I use also chat interview. So if I want to confirm something, I use this one. And I use anonymous Google form, as I told you, I usually, once a while I use Google Form if I want to gather the sensitive issues. So then we can do anonymous survey, and then experiences using WhatsApp through that's interview exploring those things. I myself, because I'm using WhatsApp for my studies, so I can use this information also for part of my research. I use Google Meet, to meet my student. I use YouTube, usually, for example, like this. If I want to explain something and the students very hard to grasp my teaching, then usually they require me to to do some kind of tutorial, short tutorial or easy tutorial, simple tutorial means. So I usually create short tutorials and then I upload so they can watch my teaching. So all those things become my data to report. Okay, that's I mean, that's the examples of my data. This is WhatsApp archive. So look at here. It records the times of posting and the material that they post. There's the chronology of the topic. So in the whole conversation from very starts of the semester until the end, I can just easily convert the chat communications, using my mobile and send to my computer. I become like this. So I can analyze the intents of communication, the use of English. This is very rich data. I can emerge. Many projects, research projects, in order to analyze, to make sense of this technology. This data. This is also the data to track the track records of their access. I said that our students are always on 24/7. Yeah, it's kind of that. Look at here, for example, they start at 4 p.m., but still here at 23 p.m., then at 6, at 7. And so I used to, for example, just to check whether my students are awake or not. So I send message at 00 something midnight. So just I don't need to wait longer. Maybe just few seconds. They'll all respond to my students. So from, for example, one class 24 or till 30 students from one group of class, I can figure out about 30% still alive, in the midnight. They are working. When I send messages regarding the courses, they respond to it. And I also like to, for example, to record what time they post messages, things like that, and upload their assignments. This really 24 hours limit. This is the results of interview, message interview. I read out here for you. SOSMED is not only daily life, daily activities, but it becomes my hourly activities. No hour passes without checking my mobile phone, like checking Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook. But now, plus LMS, because they are using also, as I told you, it's e-learning system. We have Telegram groups. We have IG chats, we have WhatsApp chats, we have FB chat, Facebook chat. We spend lots of time busy chatting about everything, but LMS only for our school. So that's cool. So here, the e-learning systems very different. It's kind of a formal institution for schools. Now I can't separate between my school and my social life. I do them all at once. That also indicates, I write in my paper that if the teacher do not use technology like this, actually it is very hard for students because they have to play two roles. One roles because they are very very alive in, they use SOSMED, so SOSMED is very attached to their life. And on the other side, if the teacher do not use technology, they have to play the traditional one, but they have to convert that traditional into technology savvy. So that's actually the great chance for them. A WhatsApp group and LMS brought my class to my face. I used to talk about that before. I keep ask this one, so still very consistent. Our student. Very often I feel overwhelmed as I receive notification from WhatsApp or particularly from my LMS to check almost due assignments. Yeah? So that's to do this or to do that. Flexible hours mean never ending working, anytime, any place. I know we work from home. It seems that it's good, work from home, but actually no hours limit, 24-hour we serve our students. Flexible times means I can customize my learning hours and working hours. I usually hear, what's that? I usually post my assignment at midnight. So this always, so that's why I almost never, yeah. The deadline is, for example, normal hour, working hour like at 4 p.m. No, I usually put the deadlines is 23, almost midnight, yeah, almost 00. I think my phone is my life. I spend hours and hours with my gadget. As long as I remember, I have changed my sleeping hours. Since I own my own phone, night is my day. Night is my day. I just could not stop clicking, listening, watching, reading till I forgot the time. I forgot to do things. I don't know what I'm doing, but still I can't give up. I don't know if I am learning or not, but for sure, I always stick to my phone. So that's some of the the ideas. I mean the voice from our students. Okay, that's this. I used to talk about this early of this year, yeah, when in one seminar. Uh, I mean, I described this is the situation. Our student in our class is communicating, they are communicating face to face, but also with other people through the computers. So the teachers communicate with students through the screens. Yeah. But it's not only that. Yeah, the students also have their own communities. Yeah, virtual communities. They can access so many groups with so many different purposes of the groups. Yeah, they can have access to online databases, big data resources, library, search engine, and so on like that. So it's really unlimited access to anything actually. So that's the great challenge for the students. So our students explain these things. So actually they have to have learning skills. The learning skill is very urgent today because they have their own way. But now in pandemics, I propose these things. There is no longer class. The classroom disappear. The student, I mean, this is the what's a the bridge, yeah, between this is face to face. The solid lines indicate they have communication face to face, physically present. They do have that kind of communication, but it's no longer significant. But through this screen, the communication, the nature of community changes. So here, the dotted lines indicates this is the transformation of the process. They are using their gadgets. They're using the computer screen to not to limit actually, but to access more and almost unlimited. Now this skill is required by the students. Now to end my, do I have still time? Ibu Nani?
You still have 5 more minutes, sir.
Okay, now that's good then. This is my excerpt. I mean, it's kind of the the conclusion or the pointers of my ideas. I want to read to make it better, uh, better sound. So the nature of learning has also been significantly transformed because of those things, mainly in three ways. So here's I recognize three ways. The first one, flexible access to online classroom has allowed the student to customize their learning activities, perhaps the flexible access to resources and communication. Access to resources and communication seem to be trivial or simple, yeah? But it's actually transformed the way the student engage their learning responsibility. As their classroom are accessible anytime, anywhere, the student blend their academic life with their day-to-day activities. When they read newspaper or they listen to YouTube or radio and so on like that, they have SOSMEDs, engagement with friends, with families and so on like that. They may still want to continue their discussion through the WhatsApp group or through the groups in LMS and so on. Or listen to again to the previous recorded lectures. They may always, they have always opportunity to have the second time or third times. They may also ask questions and share their views with others without having to be present synchronously. In this way, they increase their commitment to learning. What traditional or school-based, schedule-based courses fail to meet is the flexible access and time independent. When classroom meeting stops or ceases, all the student and the teacher depart. Rarely do they remain to continue their discussion. Instead, they usually continue the meeting next week, usually like that. But it does not happen when we have this, technology. There is no kind of ending. They keep asking us, they keep sending a question to us. The second one, in response to the changing nature of learning environment, the student define learning as access to information and communication. So access to communication, access to resources is kind of learning skill right now. If the student do not know how to do that, so they struggle in their life, in their school, in their study. The use of digital technology transform the way they proceed their learning experiences. That's it. Namely, the student become more interested in interactive activities. Learning is no longer just listening, receiving information from the student, but learning is searching, learning is obtaining and interacting with the teachers. Now, that's also the idea that I use. That's why in front of the WhatsApp, in front of the computer, when WhatsApp is there, I try to create the interactivity. It is not just sending the instruction, okay, do this and this, and then upload into the system. No, the student don't like that. We have to really arouse, evoke the student interaction. So they really enjoy it because our student, remember, our student is very different kind of students, right now. They are very close to technology. So if we are close to technology, then they feel that they are safe, and so they are in their place. The third one, the participation in this kind of online mode supports informal learning. Learning according to the student does not always entail dealing with course content. And that's interesting. In many cases, the student encounter information relevant to their current situation that builds competence and means to their life, even though this is not relevant to their course. We have this kind of assignment, but this assignment is nothing to do with their life. They like to have, closer to their needs. And in most cases, we don't know their needs. So they know their needs. That's why they explore. They enjoy their exploration because they want to fulfill their need. So I think the education course content, in this case, the curriculum, should also embrace these changes of due to the technological advancements. I think that's the end of my presentation. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for the presentation, sir. It is very informative presentation. Now we go on to question and answer, sir. I had already announced in the chat room that the participant can directly ask by unmute the speaker or write in the chat room. Now I got Mrs. Lasmi Febrianingrum from IAIN Madura. If Miss Lasmi on, you can unmute your speaker. Maybe you want to ask directly to Mr. Salam, Mr. Uday Salam. Hello, is there any Miss Lasmi there? No? Okay, if no, I will read it for you, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I could not see
okay.
the message.
Okay. Yeah, if I saw from your receipt, it seemed that you gave a comment to students till night.
Yeah, hello.
Is it okay? Oh, Mr. Lasmi?
Yes.
Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
I already
can
unmute there.
Okay, thank you. You can directly ask to Mr. Uresalo.
Okay, thank you very much for the time. Assalamualaikum, Pak Salam.
Waalaikumsalam.
I want to ask about the netiquette that when I see your archive there, you have interaction with your students till night, not only at the working hours, but till night. All right?
All right.
Okay. But then, do you apply any netiquette for your students? I mean, is it okay for you and your students to have communication till night? Because I'm so curious whether we can do it or not. Thank you so much for you. Okay.
Of course, I mean, I limit myself. Yeah, it is not 24-hour service, you know. But I mean, I'm just curious. Yeah, our students, how they engage with their learning. Because I also understand, as I told you before in my presentation, that the student really glues their life with, I mean, their learning and formal learnings with their social life. This cannot be separated. So, but to me, it is interesting because it's kind of lifelong learning. So, learning is not ending when the time ceases. You know? Once a while, I just appear in the groups, just just to say hello, to say concerns, sometimes just to remind if the almost due assignment is important assignment. Usually I remind them. Not only because I want to remind them actually, but because it is curious to me whether our students still alive, still awake. I mean, so in the very late nights or midnight, things like that. So, but still, I said sometimes I tell them it is not good to communicate with the lectures with the late nights. So the time is yours now. So it's kind of do not disturb me. So it's kind of that. But still, they can post the questions regarding the courses, and I can respond the times, I mean, comfortable to me. It's kind of it.
Okay, sir. It means that not for 24 hours, yes, sir.
Yes.
That is a privacy. Yeah, maybe want to take
correct.
a rest or so.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
We have
actually,
our life.
Yeah. Actually, there are so many questions, sir. So we add one more question, sir. It is from Mr. Siswoyo. Maybe Mr. Siswoyo are here now. You can unmute your speaker if you want to ask directly to Mr. Uray Salam. Hello, Mr. Siswoyo? No one here? No, if not, I will read it, sir. It is not that not all the students have mobile phone facility, especially for those who are in remote and isolated places with no internet facilities. What should the educators do to run the teaching and learning process for them? Thank you, sir.
Sorry, I could not. Which question is it?
Yeah, actually, for the students who don't have good facilities,
okay.
And they live in the remote area, so the educators, what should they do, sir?
Yes, that's why I always ask students before they enter the session, I ask them to tell me their location. Where are you? So, for example, I'm from this, I'm here, I'm there, and so on like that. And if I know that they have difficulties in connections, I have special, a treatment for them. Yeah, I do not give them a very strict deadline, things like that. Yeah, but they have to be honest. And the way I know whether they have such kind of difficulties or not, this is the way I try to know my own students. Yeah. So I give them flexible times. Yeah. Like for the attendance. Yeah. Some of my students, for example, they have to go to the nearest city, districts. Yeah. To have the connection, they have to travel, for example, about 5 kilos. Yeah. In order to get connection. So that's why I tolerate that one. Yeah. And I detect few students have such kind of routine in their activities. I mean, in their problems. Yeah. Not like in those who are reside in Pontianak or in the cities where connection is not problematic. So we have to
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, thank you, sir. I think that the question from Miss Novia Nur Ikhlasia also likely the same, sir.
Yeah.
And then I think that because our time is out now, I think that maybe there is a last statement for you, sir.
Okay. As teachers, I mean, now in pandemic situation, social distancing still applies. Yeah. So we have to really run our classroom. Now, using WhatsApp group, to me, I don't experience difficulties, and as far as I know, my student also explained the same. We have very close, intense communication and discussions. So I don't feel that there is much different between face-to-face and discussion using WhatsApps. Yeah, the intense communication really happens. Yeah, I can check also my student understanding, and when the interactivity happens, usually students also really like to join to continue the communication, and they say, just stop. Yeah, they just like to continue the session, yeah, but because of the time, because of the schedule, I have to teach another courses, so I have to stop there. But it seems that the student really fit in the way we use technology. So that's my my last comment to my research. I think that's it. Thank you very much for everyone. I hope everyone have healthy conditions in pandemic situation.
Amin ya rabbal alamin.
Yeah, thank you very much once again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, sir. It is the informative presentation. Should with this pandemic era that forced education must be occurred still. It can use WhatsApp group, MB, Google Meet, Zoom, and other learning management system. And we also must suit with our students' conditions, sir.
Yeah.
Hopefully, all technology, software or hardware always can support education system, learning management, especially especially in this pandemic era, like nowadays, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for
You're welcome.
presentation from Mr. Uray Salam, PhD from Tanjung Pura University, Indonesia. Thank you. Entitled Lockdown by Corona, the Students Learning Through WhatsApp. I'm Nani Sabika from Yayan Pontianak. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you, Bapak Uray Salam, as the presenter, and Ibu Nani Sodika. We will go to the next presentations. The moderator will be Ibu Eka Pazar, and then the presenter is Professor Dr. Pratya. Please welcome both of them.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Let me
Good
start.
afternoon.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all presenters and participants. Thank you for still being with us. So we're going to proceed to the second session. But before we proceed, let me introduce myself as the moderator. My name is Eka Fajar Rahmani. For this session, we're going to have a presentation from Associate Professor Dr. Pratya bin Matni. I'm sorry for if I pronounce it wrongly. Professor, welcome to our conference. It's such an honor to have you here. So without any further ado, I'd like to inform that you have 30 minutes for the presentation and the question and answer session. So, okay. Professor, time is yours now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Greeting from Thailand.
Right. Hello, Thailand.
Yes. Yeah, from Thailand. How are you there?
Alhamdulillah, very fine.
Alhamdulillah.
Which part of Thailand, sir?
Alhamdulillah, very good. Now the COVID pandemic is better in Thailand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Okay. Yeah, anyway, my presentation is about the success of local integration in designing vocabulary learning application. So it means I designed the application to learn the vocabulary through the local integration. Can you show my slide?
Not yet, sir.
Yeah, my slide.
Not yet.
Not yet, sir.
Presented yet.
Okay, excuse me. I try to show you my slide.
I think it's processing, sir.
Istiqomah, can you help me? Dr. Istiqomah.
It is showing now.
Showing now?
Yeah.
Okay. 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 So my presentation is about the integration of the local context in designing the vocabulary learning application. First of all, really thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for providing me the opportunity to meet you online with all professors around the world, especially in Indonesia. Okay, so all around the world, I think we face the same problems. At the beginning of 2020, the spread of COVID-19 was around the world. including Thailand. So at that time, you know that 13 million students stranded at home and 600,000 of teachers were unable to teach in their classroom. So in response to the crisis, Education Ministry has convinced educators around the country to shift their education service to online class. So to provide the online class is not easy. As you know that we have to prepare a lot of things. So the main sources that time is about the website and the application. The teachers try to teach online through the website and through the application. So through that kind of the things, the learners can learn English online through the contents provided by the teachers. So the question is that what is successful to teach online with the website or with the application? So from the observation and from the interview, we all know that some of the students mentioned that this kind of learning couldn't be successful. There are many limitations of using website and application to teach online to the students at that time. So the students had negative response to the online class. For some students, not all students. Some students in some areas had the negative response to the online class. So what happened? Why some of the students had negative attitude or negative response to the online class? Maybe we focus on the contents of the material that the teacher tried to provide to the students. We found that two main problems happen about the contents of the materials. The first thing is unchallenging English lesson and the inappropriateness of the curricula for local conditions. So if these two things are not considered more, so the contents of the lesson was not successful. So what is the way to solve the problems of unchallenging English lesson or the inappropriateness of the curricula for the local conditions? So for the better way to solve these problems, we try to create the contents that related to the learner's way of life, as mentioned by Anderson about the schema theory. Through the schema theory, the content designers have to design the content that reflect to learners' belief, learners' values, learners' past experience, and the culture. And also, the language that we use in the contents must related to the level of the learners. The vocabulary or the grammatical structures must suit the level of the students. So this is the thing that we try to solve the problems of designing the material to suit the learner's need. That is the way we do. And then this way, we use ILAA model. The next slide, please. ILAA model. This is the model that we use to design the vocabulary learning application. So through ILAA model, it means interactive learning activity through the application. So for the short name is ILAA. So through ILAA model, the teacher have to provide students with positive attitude and aptitude. In the process of the instructions, the teachers have to do 3 steps. The first step is introduction and integration and identification. So to promote students with positive aptitude, with positive attitude, learning activity is very important. The learning activity have to support the 21st century skills of the learners, have to support the vocabulary learning of the learners. That's why in the instruction process, the teachers have to wisely provide the 3 steps. Introduction step, it means we have to introduce the vocabulary, and then from that vocabulary, we have to integrate the vocabulary in the content that suit the learner needs. It means it have to suit the learner's culture, the learner's ways of life. And then at the last step is identification. The learners have to do the games, do the exercise with the vocabulary they learned previously. So to learn the vocabulary and promote the 21st century skill, so we have to create a tool of doing this through the teacher's instruction. So we create or design the Fun Fast English application. So that is the name of our vocabulary learning application. It is Fun Fast English. So through Fun Fast English, when the learners click the contents of the application, they will learn the vocabulary through 3 steps I mentioned just now. The first step is introduction. For example, there are 10 units. You see, my family previously. Yes. You see the content, my family, my daily life, vehicles or careers. So when the learner clicks each unit, they will learn the vocabulary through 3 steps. The first one is the introduction. There is the video to introduce them the vocabulary. After introducing the vocabulary, they can learn the vocabulary in the context that related to their way of life. And at the end of each unit in the application, they have to use the game with the vocabulary. We provide 3 games per each unit to students to do after they learn the vocabulary. So to design this Fun Fast English application, we use 4 aspects of graph theories to design this vocabulary application. Through 4 aspects of graphs framework, for the local integration, the content designers must consider 4 aspects. The first aspect is teaching. The second is learners and learning. The third thing is social context. And the last one is the language. So these are 4 aspects of graphs that the material designers have to consider. So let's see the detail. The teaching aspect for the teaching aspect, when we design the material, that kinds of material should meet the students' experience and background, the target needs, and their effective needs. So through the Fun Fast English application, this is the example from the application. When the learner click at the tourist attraction, so they don't learn about the tourist attraction in Paris or in London, but they learn about the tourist attraction in their country. So they wow, because that is the place that they are familiar with, not so far from them. And also, when we say, when they click at the My Family chapter, so the area or the atmosphere of the family is nearly the same as their family. You see, here in Patani, most of the people are Muslim. They are Muslim. So their way of life is about Muslim. So through this application, they learn everything about being good Muslim. My family, their dress, their parent dress is about Muslim culture or Muslim dress. So this is the teaching aspect that the teachers have to consider. It must need the student experience and background. So through this kind of the thing, it makes the learners motivated to learn the language. The other aspect is learners and learning. So for this aspect, the learners have to solve the problems by doing some games after they learn the language, they learn the vocabulary. So through the application, they will learn the vocabulary. They can they have the list of the vocabulary related to the content. For example, if the content is about family, so the vocabulary is about the family, like a family tree. So they learn about study law, what does it mean, father, parents, like this. So after they learn the vocabulary, and then they learn the contents that the vocabulary appear, after that they play the games. So there are 3 games that I mentioned earlier. We have word scramble, we have spelling, and we have multiple choices. So they can do the activities with the vocabulary to 3 games. So they are very excited and very funny to play the game with the vocabulary that they have the familiar with. So the third aspect that the materials designers have to consider is about the social context. So through the social context, it focuses on the local community in the 3 southern border provinces of Thailand, including Narathiwat, Pattani, and Jala. So the cultural awareness and social issue were included in the VLA. So in our application, Fun Fast English application, the learners will learn something or see something about their places, about their countries. You see, when we say about the place and building, we say it about Pattani's Central Masjid. We don't say it about the Golden Gate Bridge or the thing that far away from their ways of life. So we say it about the thing that they are familiar with. About the family as well. So we learn something that related to their way of life, and they also have some background knowledge of that. So this is the social context. This is the social issue that is, I think we couldn't separate from the language. So the learners have to study both the language and the culture as well. The next things that we have to consider is about the language. So this is the very important thing for the language. If we provide the good contents, if we provide the good the content that related to their way of life, but if the language is not suit the students' level, so maybe they couldn't understand well, they couldn't learn well from that interesting contents. So the language we decide have to suitable with their level of the language. So these activities much relevant to their grammar, functions, and vocabulary, and suit the students' level. So this is very important thing. So this is the 4 aspects of grades that we try to design when we try to apply to decide the vocabulary learning application. Each aspect are very important: social context, language, learners and learning, and also teaching. These are the most important thing that the material designers have to consider. To design the material, to design the content is not easy. So we have to understand everything of the language, the culture, the contents, and the students' level. And then if we understand that, we can design effective contents. And then through fun-fast English application, maybe the question is, it is successful? Yes, through the research, we found that this application is successful. How to say it's successful? Maybe the question comes. So at the follow-up stage, after we provide the application to 200 students in the areas, after that, we follow up the language efficiencies. So we found that the efficiency index of the students is 0.24. So how important is this number? So 0.24 is very important because this result reveal that 24% of vocabulary knowledge was increased through vocabulary learning application. So this concretely shows us the result of the research. So the vocabulary knowledge was increased 24%. So that is the thing. So in conclusion, by highlighting the concept of local integration, it could strengthen learners' mind because they learn and understand wholeheartedly their own cultures from the main sources. Thus, developing vocabulary learning application for EFL students should focus on the integration of acquiring language, promoting learning and learners, as well as making use of their social or local context. The use of local integration in this study, which promoted students' background knowledge, could be considered as a major agenda in designing vocabulary learning application, or our application is Fun-Fast English. So as it can bring the social, emotional, and spiritual change towards the learning of English. So this is my presentation, the success of local integration. Thank you very much for your attention.
All right, thank you very much for Dr. Pratya bin Matni for such a great presentation. It's very inspiring and also interesting. Now we're going to have a question and answer session. So please, for the audience who would like to pose a question, we open one question. For the audience, you can wave or you can write from your question in the chat. Anyone?
Any questions?
Okay.
Maybe they are.
We've got one, sir.
Yes,
We've got
please.
one. Okay. So it's from Hartati Widyastuti.
Yeah.
She asked about how about teaching vocabulary to university students? Do you have any suggestions for us lecturers who would like to teach our students vocabulary? Thank you.
Yeah, I think to teach the university students, the local integration is still important, but the level of the vocabulary is different. The level of the vocabulary in the university level is quite complicated. It's quite difficult if we compare with the primary students. But if you ask me about the local integration, I think yes, it's still important and it's still needed to integrate the local contents into your teaching, whether in primary, in secondary, or in university level.
All right. All right. So it means that we've got to consider the four aspects of designing materials still, even though it's for university students, isn't it, sir?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right.
That's my opinion.
Yes. Okay. Because of the time, yeah, we only open one question only. Thank you for Mr. Pratya. Before I close this, I'd like to give some conclusion precisely. So based on the presentation, it can be concluded that due to this pandemic outbreak, as teachers or educators, we've got to be creative and innovative to motivate our students to learn, to build their positive attitudes, and to support the 21st century skills of learners, just like what Mr. Pratya already, I can say, uh, done, yeah, by designing fun fast English application. Okay, so I think that's all. But before that, do you have closing statement, Dr. Pratya?
Yeah, thank you very much. To be good teachers is not easy. We don't only teach the learners the content of the knowledge, but we have to teach them the morality as well. So these the things that the teachers have to do. We have to teach them the contents and the morality to promote the good characteristic to the learners. So to do that, the teachers have to do a lot of works, not only teaching. So I do believe that all teachers can do that. Try to devote yourself for your careers, and inshallah, you will be successful in also both dunya and akhirah. Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Once again, thank you for Associate Professor Dr. Pratya bin Matni.
Yes.
So ladies and gentlemen, since the Q&A session has done, so I'd like to announce that this presentation session is ended as well.
Sorry, I may say something to Dr. Pratya.
What, sir?
I want to say something to Dr. Pratya.
Oh, okay. So Dr. Isanuddin would like to say something to
Dr. Pratya, thank you very much for your presentation. It's very insightful.
Oh, that's my pleasure. Yeah, Prof.
Yeah, we'll do more conversation later. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Prof.
Okay, so that's it for today. One more time, I say thank you. Let me say thank you to our presenter, Dr. Pratya, And please give a round of applause for the presentation. It's such a, what is it called, inspiring and also very informative. Okay. Thank you for the participation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for the second presenters, Professor Pratia bin Magni, and also the moderator, Ibu Eka Fajar. And we go to the next presentations. The presenter will be Dr. Nadra Huma Quraishi, and then the moderator will be Dr. Eni Rosniza. Please welcome the presenter and the moderator.
All right, thank you very much, Ibu Dr. Istiqomah, for the time. Right, ladies and gentlemen, so our next topic is about chalking the way forward ELT practices during and post COVID-19. Yeah, will be delivered by Dr. Nadra Huma Quraishi and then Miss Huma Rauf. Yeah. So both presenters are from the University of Central Punjab, Pakistan. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is our topic. All right, I would like to welcome to Dr. Nadra Huma Quraishi and then also Miss Huma Rauf. Yeah, you may take your time, please.
Right, thank you very much. First of all, I wanted to make one correction. I'm not a doctor. I am also Ms. Huma Quraishi, just so you get that correction happening. Right, no worries. I did send that email earlier as well. Not a problem. I'm going to share my screen and very quickly, I'd just like to give you a little bit of introduction. So, I am Nadra Huma Quraishi, a life member of SPELT, the Society of Pakistan English Language Teachers, and the director of the English Language Center at the University of Central Punjab. I'm involved in English language teaching from pre-primary to tertiary level at both instructional and policy level. And with me is my colleague,
Hello everyone, I am Huma Rauf. I am also representing SPELT and working at University of Central Punjab as a team lead for teaching communication skills. Teaching is my passion and I keep endeavoring to offer exciting learning experience to my students.
So yeah.
So today our topic of discussion is chalking the way towards ELT practices during and post COVID-19. Our discussion centers around the future directions during and post COVID-19. So English is world's most commonly spoken foreign language, spoken in over 100 countries, and 20% of the world population are English-speaking learners. That is nearly 1.5 billion. The global language market has doubled in size over the past 10 years, amounting to 46.9 billion US dollar industry in 2019. By 2025, the English languages, this market is predicted to grow at the rate of 7.1% and amount to $54.5 billion. As we see that coronavirus adversely affected educational activities across the globe. The ELT fraternity was also impacted by it. However, despite the challenges, there were many positives when it came to TESOL and TEFL community. According to the data shared by TEFL Academy, an interesting aspect is that people are getting TEFL education even during the lockdown period. The number of enrollments in TESOL courses has gone up. Keeping in mind 1.5 billion English-speaking learners, this is not surprising. There is a gap between requirements of TEFL educators and the numbers of ELT educators available.
So the number is growing because we still need more people, right, to be able to cater to the needs.
While talking about the shift of teaching is from conventional to online education, and ELT practitioners are well aware of it. According to the survey conducted by TEFL Academy, 81.3% teachers of English said that they were willing to and preparing for teaching online. My advice to the 18.7% who were unwilling to do so, that it is the time for change. It is the time for change. If we want to last in the field of ELT or any kind of teaching, it is the time to adapt the shift and upskill to meet the requirements of delivering effective online education. The global economic hit resulting from the pandemic has led to a focus on cost reduction, a search of new market, and greater emphasis on students' experiences in the educational process. Online teaching experience should focus on fostering higher order thinking skills, developing critical thinkers and problem solvers, able to use language to fluently and accurately articulate their thoughts. Higher educational institutions are moving towards more online platforms and are at the beginning stage of planning massive open online courses. This shift is being acknowledged by educationists, including the ELT community worldwide. So when we're talking about the plans of future ESL educationists, the charm of English language has been teaching, has been the travel associated with it, right? Many teachers getting certification and degrees in this field often plan to go and teach in other countries as well. It is good to see that people are still planning to travel and teach. Analyzing the data from the question, if you are still studying, where are you planning to teach? If you're still studying, where are you planning to teach? On the survey by TEFL Academy, we can see that Asia and Europe are popular destinations. However, the one that wins hand down in online teaching. So what these teachers need to invest in? Let's find out with Ms. Huma.
Right, thank you, Huma. So COVID-19 has truly been a paradigm changer. So what has happened now? The pandemic has propelled us into adoption of the online mode of instruction, right? And now that we have discovered the ease of being able to connect to our learners and deliver instruction wherever in the world we might happen to be, we do not want to give up this flexibility and the freedom of movement that comes with it. In short, this mode of instruction is here to stay. So what is happening? It's transforming people of all ages into future-ready digital citizens. We need to now invest in learning and practicing strategies of effective blended learning. As we can see, that accelerated mobile and blended learning approach is already here, right? It is also time to tap into our creative side. Come up with our out-of-box strategies and content. This is a time like never before for innovation and new learning. And a lot of investment is on the offer for these innovations and for these practices of these new learnings. So then, what next? How does it translate into ELT? What's happening in it? That is the general scenario, right? That image, I think, answers that question. If you see, the world is now connected. Connected how? Connected through the internet. That's what we're doing. We are zooming in from different parts of the world into Indonesia. And when you think about the net being in English, or half of the net at least being in English, it means that new users will have to attain English language skills to make full use of the information that can be found there. So how do we help them develop the requisite language proficiency? And we think about, Krashen has tried to answer that for us, and I'm sure we're all familiar with Stephen Krashen. He said that the theory of comprehensible input, remember, which was applied in the communicative language approach, we all practice that as well, analyzing the current restrictions on mobility, enforced social distancing, and limited face-to-face interaction with learners, he has highlighted input as being the key to language acquisition. So the focus, he thinks, has shifted from interaction to input. However, we beg to differ just a little bit. We feel that it is now time to redefine interaction and input, because both are equally important when it comes to effective English language teaching practice, right? So we need to look at interaction as learners engaging with digital content rather than engaging with a person, be it their teacher, be it their peer, be it their someone else, but they are now actually, because so much content is there in terms of video contents, in terms of video lectures, in terms of synchronous and in asynchronous modes both. They have to start to think of interaction as engaging with the content. And input also has to be inclusive of digital texts, podcasts, social media, and other e-learning tools. Moving the shift from just books, just video recorded lectures or video options that we had, we have to now make use of all that is on offer. So that's the next thing that we think about. And as we're making the switch, we face certain issues. And we would like to briefly highlight the issues, but they were there. And I'm sure that you will also agree, these were issues that all of us faced. One big one was no internet connection. And I think that created a crazy kind of a digital divide, right? It was the digital, the access to devices, as well as access and availability of e-platforms being insufficient was a big issue. And this digital divide was brought into focus by the sudden switch to online learning that we faced because of the global emergency that coronavirus imposed on us. So if we think of some numbers, 95% of Swiss, Austrian, and Norwegian students had access to a computer to take online classes, compared to just 34% students in Indonesia who had this access. So the difference between the haves and the have-nots, the developed and the developing countries came into focus one more time, big time, through this. And then connectivity was another issue that I'm sure frustrated many of us, because internet connectivity hinders ongoing activities, especially during language classes when we were delivering speaking and listening activities, when we were facilitating those and the connections dropped. It became extremely frustrating and difficult for teachers and learners alike. Then teacher preparedness was another issue. Since we were beginning to kind of get used to online learning a little bit, we were using it a bit in our teaching, day-to-day teaching, not as the main medium of instruction, right? In Pakistan, the concept of language, teaching English as a language rather than a subject was just emerging, right? It was just starting to take root. This meant a shift to teaching language skills with a focus being on function, not on form. We were just beginning to master the concept. And then, as you know, then came the sudden advent of remote classes, right? And the issues of effectively engaging students without ever setting eyes on them. So that was a big challenge. As we move forward to design ELT programs to efficiently teach language skills, we must remember that language is a tool that, depending on its use, can empower or disempower learners. So how can we then prepare them? It is by teachers being aware of the available digital mediums and education specialists and support staff being available for them to support them. Another thing that was usual CPD activities for at least high-end schools in Pakistan were held by trainers traveling to Pakistan to train our teachers, right? And then borders being closed, it is hard for trainers to travel. But, and I would say when I say it's hard for them to travel, it's both nationally and internationally, right? But all the news is not of doom and gloom. And we would like to share.
So when we're talking about the way forward, as we know that COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in educational institutes across the world being compelled to suddenly harness and utilize the suite of available technological tools to create content for remote learning for students in all the sectors. Being a university teacher, gone offering remote instructions in a synchronous mode, my challenges were keeping my students engaged and motivated, classroom management, catering to mixed ability students, preparing learners for the exam, and effective management of exams as well, eliminating the possibility of cheating. Educators across the world are experiencing new possibilities to do things differently and with greater flexibility, resulting in potential benefits in accessibility to education for students across the world. This is a time where more than ever, we need to connect strongly to our learners. Having the time to let them express how they have been feeling, the challenges and the worries they have been facing during COVID-19 pandemic.
So, I mean, the learners also were frazzled because they suddenly, as we moved into it, so did they. So we must give them time to express their thoughts and feelings and then take them forward together.
Because being teachers, it was a new experience for us, and being students, it was a change for them. So we need to be flexible for our students.
And show them other possibilities.
Yes, it also shows them the other possibilities and encourages them on their journey to learn a foreign language, which is likely to play an important role in their future employment and in making their voice heard in this increasingly globalized world. Though teachers are reasonably confident in their ability to do their jobs remotely, however, they feel that they need more training and support in adopting the online teaching. They also require support in technical training on the selected learning management systems and virtual learning environment. They also responded to online teaching, and they also focused on continuous professional learning and development in blended mode of learning.
So a large suite of possibilities for CPD is now on the line. And if we look at it, focus is now on collaboration and communication. Trainers, and it's interesting to see what's happening. The world has opened up in a way never seen before. Right? Trainers and institutions are offering free courses for teachers to upskill. Educationists are sharing their teaching strategies. Publishers are providing free resources. And one such resource is the ELT Together program that OUP is offering. And it is on a going program for almost a month from September 21st till October 16th. And they are focusing on topics such as picking up pieces, assessment for learning and managing mixed abilities in the new normal classroom, the immediate future of teaching languages, what are the takeaways from COVID-19 to teaching online, and so on and so forth. Trainers and institutions have also been offering free courses. And according to Michael Brand, a trainer from Pearson Education, said the tag of a continuous learner is what makes a better teacher. Every teacher wants to expand and his or her horizon of knowledge, right? And hence, derive the satisfaction of professional development and learning. So what else is happening? On the plus side of things, I would say it has made us creative, very creative in terms of we are using blogs, we are connected through webinars. This is an example. We are also going on online panel discussions. We have also been connecting and thinking about co-facilitation. And this is something that I would like to elaborate on a little bit more. Even before COVID, I saw that co-facilitation was something not many people wanted. Generally, presentations were by one person only. And now I'm looking at the trend that a number of people are co-presenting, not just in a panel discussion, but actually in a session. Our presentation is also an example of such a thing, right? So communication and collaboration are the order of the day. And this is a popular strategy. So bringing in both variety in classroom teaching and also during a session. So then the next thing we would like to focus on is.
Okay, so when we are talking about provide opportunities, we need to provide different kind of opportunities to our teachers, not only to our teachers, but to our students as well, right? As you know that individual input-based activities should be designed as practical application of input or knowledge always leads to relevant output that is highly beneficial for your learners. Regular meetings of teachers, both in their local teams and through various fora such as TESOL, TEFLN, SPELT, IATEFL, BELTA, NELTA, right? Forming communities of learning such as SPELT did in response to the current situation to share their learning experiences would help them devise effective strategies in the current mode of instruction. Being teachers, it was a new experience for us, but being flexible and having an open mind towards this online learning was a great challenge for us, which we did, and alhamdulillah, we are doing it in a very well way. Regular trainings in both synchronous and asynchronous mode, like video tutorials should be provided to address the issues that they share by the teachers regarding platform features, software limitations, like all these things. And then students must similarly be taught to use technology efficiently because it hinders them. It kills their productivity. When they're not aware of these tools, when they're not aware of the softwares, they won't be able to cope up with all this scenario. And online education, that would be frustrating for them. But if you provide opportunities not only to your teachers, but to your students as well, that would be really comfortable for them. And in that way only, we can make it a success. And then, all right, this is the current reality of ELT world.
So we are on Zoom or online. And I mean, you can see that behind us, all these, we are at the university right now, online classes are on, teachers are on campus, students are not. And so this is our reality at the moment. And this is how we're going forward.
So as a digital ELT instructor, we must be aware of the options available for us, right? To us and reach to our learners. And definitely we need to support their target language acquisition. There are many ways to go ranging from the pre-recorded videos, discussion boards, feedback via email communication, connecting through social media, and also video conferences, right? And we must use them judicially as we need, as whenever or wherever they are required.
So there are more than one way of reaching. So even if you are having connectivity issues, you have to think out of the box and see which is the one that's going to work in your context, in your scenario. The message is learning must go on, and we must be able to exploit the tools to the best of our ability and reach our learners so their learning is not disrupted, right? And how to make it engaging, that is our next challenge. So a few ideas. We first and foremost update the curriculum content, digitize your courses. According to the requirement of the blended learning approach, And then think about the limitations of technology failure. Think about how when you're planning lessons, you've got to keep in mind certain things can happen. And do you have enough time to do those things, or not? Like what's going on? And
Someone is. Yes.
So you have to be able to work out what is happening. So that's the other thing. So always plan your lessons with some leeway for adjusting to the situation that may arise, right? Clear rubrics, then revisit your assessments, because assessments online differ from those and face-to-face, right? And clear guidelines help both. They provide a roadmap for student success as well as for teachers to understand where they're at and where they should be going. Ensure quality assurance. That is another part. You must think about the fact that mentoring is required for teachers to perform their best. So the norms of quality assurance in e-learning are also different from those of face-to-face interaction. So developing a session observation tool and sharing it with your teachers in advance helps them focus on the requisite elements. And this is something that we did. We observed our English language classes regularly at our university. We provided mentoring and feedback, and that helped improve. It was a dramatic improvement. Within like a couple of weeks, we could see the quality of sessions totally changing and teachers adapting more comfortably to it. Explore all available features of your LMS and VLE, use them wisely. Technology is a tool and it's up to you how you will use it. Then if you list your best online resources, again, sharing, Huma talked about learning communities. This is a place where you can share those resources and also kind of tag them. What works for primary, what works for secondary, what works for tertiary level or advanced learners for when it comes to language education. So good forward is another way forward. Also, do keep in mind that both you and your students, your emotional self-regulation and well-being is important. So please keep that in mind as well. In short, if I want to say, what are the key messages? We're coming to the end of our presentation now. So we quickly, digital learning is here. Welcome to this world. The future is of online and blended mode of learning. And I am convinced that the world of TEFL, TESOL, ELT will never be the same once the situation with COVID-19 gets back to normal. The new normal is here to stay. What I mean here is that EFL teachers will no longer be able to neglect the need to actively implement the digital constitutes. So no longer will they be able to exclude the development of digital literacy. It is important. You have to think about those as well, right? As it is a vital component of their CPD also. The era of digital natives has arrived and is here to stay. COVID-19 has accelerated the digital transformation of EFL at space, and teachers really need to skill up. Being a reflective practitioner is the way to go. You have to think about that as well. One place I would suggest is try and be Google certified if you can, because it gives you a whole host of technological tools that you may or may not be familiar with, and you need them. I think we have all done a marvelous job of dealing with the sudden overnight transition in response to the global educational emergency imposed as a result of the pandemic that left 1.2 billion children out of school in 186 countries. COVID-19 has redefined the future path of education, including in English language teaching. Gain as much experience as you can, and don't be afraid of making mistakes along the way. Errors are our friend. Remember, as English language teachers, we all say that. So with that, we would like to end our presentation, and we would really like to thank the Teflon Group for giving us this opportunity to present. And thank you very much for being here and listening to us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. It's very inspiring, amazing presentation. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for the ideas. Yeah. I think it is really a good solution for us in the pandemic situation right now, COVID-19. All right. There are some questions.
We will take the questions.
Yeah. From. All right. From Siana. Yeah, Siana. The question is, how do you resolve a problem of the students who cannot join the online course classes because of unavailable internet connection in the location? That is the question from Siana.
So a couple of things that we do. One thing is that we have a very strong learning management system. So we record all our classes and we upload it on the LMS and we were using our platform for the pandemic and for now also is MS Teams, Microsoft Teams. So we record the lectures and it is left on Teams for the students to access. All our course material has been updated, digitized and uploaded on the LMS as well. PowerPoint presentations that are used along with trainer notes are also uploaded. So whenever they can, they access it. We also email them stuff. We use WhatsApp, as we said. A lot of our MS team was mobile friendly, so we made sure that a lot of things could be accessed through that as well. So we have tried to upskill our teachers. We did a quick training before we launched the MS Teams thing. So that has been helping. And as we're going, we are also refining. We also had physical course packs and printouts, and we send them via post to our students as well. So those were some of the strategies we used.
All right. Ibu Isti, do you still have time to questions and answer?
Maybe one question.
Okay, one question.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Any questions? Oh, no more questions. Oh, okay. Maybe anybody you can ask directly to our presenter right now. This is a question from Lasmi. Yeah.
Oh, scroll up. They say. Okay.
Yeah. Would you share a brief examples of applying classroom management in one of social media? That is the last.
Okay. This is a favorite one. So a couple of things that we did. One was the effective use of chat box. And one strategy we used was asking comprehension questions. So we would ask a question and we would say, you have 1 minute to respond. Everyone needs to type their answers in that minute. So all 40 of them had to quickly type in their answers and we could see who was and wasn't with us. Huma, if you could share another quick strategy.
Yes, this was a really strong strategy. The other thing we did was definitely the lectures were being recorded. So students were monitored all the time. Students were monitored all the time, and relating it to your previous questions, even when they were taking their assessments, we had makeup classes for them, and when they were unable to connect on time, we had makeup sessions for them. On Teams, we had different sessions where they used to take their assessments. If they missed it, like due to connectivity issue or due to any other technological issue or devices issue, so we had solution for them because we were flexible enough, as we said in our presentation as well, that being teacher, being instructors, we need to be very flexible. So flexibility is the answer.
Key,
yeah. Yes.
All right. That is the key. Yeah? So we need to redefine of interaction among teachers and students. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for impressive presentation today. So I hope that we can discuss later. Yeah. We can meet again in another seminar.
And I would love to keep in touch.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Okay. Happy to have you here in our seminar. Okay, Bu Istiqomah, back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Eni Rosnija, for being such a wonderful moderator. And then also thank you to Ms. Huma Quraisi and Ms. Huma Rauf for the presentations. I think it's very inspiring. Now we are going to the next sessions. It will be panel discussions. It will lead by Ms. Farhin Hassan. Am I right with the pronunciation? Ms. Farhin Hassan.
Yes.
And then the presentation will be, or the others presenter will be Professor Dr. Nasrin Hussein and Dr. Fatimah Rehandar. Please welcome.
Thank you very much. All right. So thank you for the introduction, Ms. Istiqma. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
On behalf of TEFLN, I would like to welcome you all to the panel discussion. My name is Farhin Hassan, and I'm the moderator of today's panel discussion. Now, we have an amazing team of panelists who are going to speak on the topic. So, our first panelist is Dr. Nasrin Hussain. Okay. Professor Dr. Nasrin Hussain works at the Institute of Business Management, Karachi, and brings to academia over 40 years of diverse teaching, administrative, research, and consultancy experience. Her forte is in qualitative research methods with a special focus on field research. Her specialization includes teacher education, ESP, strategic planning, educational planning, leadership development, and organizational learning. Dr. Nasrin, thank you for joining us. Dr. Nasrin. Yes. Dr. Nasrin, we are not able to hear you. I can see you speaking, but your voice is not coming. Maybe you can reconnect. Please try to log in again. Dr. Nasrin, are you able to hear me? Okay, so by the time she's, she's trying to connect to her audio, maybe we can take Dr. Fatima for a while. Sure. Yes. Is it fine? Okay. Yes. So, yes. So let me introduce now Dr. Fatima. Dr. Fatima Rehandar works as Director, Center for Teaching Excellence in Learning, the Innovation at Iqra University, Karachi. Dr. Dar has been working in the field of teacher education, curriculum development, and English language teaching for the last 25 years. She has earned her PhD from the School of Education and Cognitive Science, Asia University, Malaysia. She also has an ME in Curriculum and Teaching from Teachers College, Columbia University, USA, and an ME in English from Government College University, Lahore. She has had the honor of winning the Charles Wallace Trust Visiting Fellowship for the year 2000 to the Institute of Education, University of London. Welcome to the discussion, Dr. Dar.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Farhin, for a very generous introduction. And I'm gratefully, thankful to Spelt as well as Stefan for inviting us here to share our thoughts. And what I'm going to discuss in the brief time that I have had is something that Ms. Huma Qureshi also pointed out in her presentation, and that is quality assurance in online education, a very important aspect, and we realized its importance as we, delved into the online mode soon after COVID-19 struck us. So when we talk of quality assurance, there are certain things that we need to be very careful about. First of all, let's gather our thoughts on the aspect of quality assurance. And when we talk about quality assurance, we are basically hinting at a systematic management of those assessment procedures which ensure quality outputs, as well as they help us to improve the quality of our programs. So this is something that we want to do as we go about spreading the slogan of online education, which itself has gained extreme popularity. However, unless we assure quality, of all the online programs and in the different modes that we operate in, you see the proper operations may be, severely affected. So when we talk about quality assurance, there is one thing more that we need to be very sure about. And this is something that we at our university, got ourselves entangled in as we started moving towards online education. There is a marked difference between the way we conceive a face-to-face, quality management and online quality management. So one very important thing to determine at this point is that online education, is not equivalent to traditional models, basically the face-to-face models that we practice. And one thing that we need to be extremely sure about is that the mechanisms are different. So when we are talking about online quality assurance mechanisms, we need to think in a different box. All the applicators of face-to-face models cannot be applied to the online mode of education. So this is something that, we need to be very, very careful about. Now, moving on, when we talk about quality assurance, I would take it at two levels. The first level is the internal quality assurance parameters. So when we talk about internal quality assurance parameters, we are basically talking about our own parent universities. What are we doing to ensure the quality of our online programs? First of all, in my opinion, we need to look at the institution's technical infrastructure readiness. Is the institution ready to spearhead online education? You see, when the pandemic started, you see, in Pakistan, most universities were, in the middle of their semesters. So we were doing face-to-face, and the pandemic, started, and in March, all universities were suddenly shut down. So we had to transition quite suddenly into the online mode of education. Most of the universities were able to do it, seamlessly well, because they had well-established learning management systems. However, there were certain universities, mostly public sector universities, which took more time, and not only more time, they did not have the required infrastructure to handle or to transition into online education. So one thing, is very important, and that is the determination that the universities, or in specific our own parent universities, are ready to launch the online programs. Do they have the established infrastructures? Do they have the established learning management systems, which Ms. Huma also pointed out? And at the same time, several other features come into it, which I would now take on, separately. Now, going on. When we talk about internal quality assurance, to me, determining the faculty's readiness is very important. Is the faculty ready? Is the faculty technologically trained to carry out online teaching? That itself is very important, because all of us know that online education and conducting an online class is again very different from a face-to-face class. And it's At one point, it is very exhaustive. At the other, end, we need to determine the various ways in which we keep on engaging our students, with our lectures, with the materials, and other, areas which need attention. So, is the faculty ready to conduct an online class? So, you need a quality mechanism to check that. The other thing that, we found a challenge was the students' readiness. So some universities started online classes without taking a stock on the students' readiness. Were they technologically ready to undertake classes, online classes? Number one. Number two, was technology available with them? Because when we talk about big universities, students come from all sorts of areas to conduct, to take these classes. So was the provision there? So, for example, what our university did was that we did a survey of these students in which we, took stock of all these areas. We got to know how many of them had the technology available, what kind of gadgets were with them, what, what was the nature of the, technology that was with them, whether they had 3Gs, 4Gs. So all this information was identified, before we launched our online program. So that we wanted to start, with the institution taking care of such areas. The other thing, which I think demand a lot of attention and needs a quality check is the content. Again, I would reiterate that face-to-face teaching is very different from online teaching, and the content, the materials, and all the resources, they need to be checked and have a quality control. So the readiness need to be there. As an example, I would again say that, we taught at our university, we taught both in the synchronous and asynchronous mode. And what we did was that, we did not simply, transferred ourselves from face-to-face to online, in the same framework. What we did was that in the brief period that we had before we made the transition, we had faculty training in which we actually guided the faculty of how to design the content, the material, and other resources. And then we uploaded all the materials, and the materials were available to the students before we launched our online sessions. So again, what we concluded was that face-to-face teaching and online teaching and the content that we, gave the students was different. We could not, bombard students with content because, you see, we needed to take care of the attention spans. We needed to take care of the kind of technology or the kind of technology disruption that the students, might have faced. So this area also need a bit of quality check. Now, the other area which is important and which, in which, great, debates have already been done is, assessment procedures. Again, what we need to, think is that the assessment in online education, again, differs remarkably from face-to-face. And there is a lot of research data that says that in online education, the assessment procedures need to be more on the formative side rather than on the summative side. So again, a step which is different and departs from face-to-face teaching. Again, this needs a quality check. So how is the faculty distributing the assessment throughout the semester? What is the weightage given to each area? What is it that is being assessed? So, and how are we ensuring learner engagement? So all of this needs a quality check. So for me, this also involves a big quality check. Then another important thing that we learned over time is the establishment of channels of communication between faculty, students, and the management. Very important. That also, this part needs a deep quality check. How are the students, the teachers, the management, and the stakeholders communicating with each other, taking stock of ideas so that things can be improved with time? So as I suggest that when we talk about quality assurance and quality management, we need to differentiate between internal parameters and external parameters. Internal parameters, when they are ensured, they lead us towards those external parameters towards which I am coming. Now, one thing which is important to establish is that, I would just very briefly, present a preamble before I jump into this particular section, is that the authenticity of online education needs to be established in our part of the world. In the other parts of the world, and while I was going through, certain articles with regard to Southeast Asia, I found out that there are, online accreditation councils available, and it is something which is an established reality there. However, in Pakistan, we have two well-established, open universities, so to speak, Allama Iqbal Open University and Virtual University, and the other, universities before the pandemic were mostly face-to-face. Now, the biggest challenge for us as practitioners is establishing the authenticity of online education. And for this, I would recommend a deep quality control from an external body, and this commission needs to be established in Pakistan, whose sole responsibility is to oversee, the functionality, the operations of online education. So this, I am sure, will bring and align ourselves with the other part of the world and also ensure quality. For example, so if we establish a quality assurance online commission here, so this commission will be responsible for the development of an online education policy. See, right now, the Higher Education Commission is responsible and is wearing lots of hats, operationalizing various things, and quality control is also with them, but that is with respect to face-to-face. So my recommendation is that we need to have an online, commission, which may accredite, also work towards as a regulator to, to oversee the quality assurance mechanisms of various universities. So development of online education policy is important. So this online commission as an external body can also be responsible for ensuring that there is technical infrastructure, present in various geographical areas in which universities are present. We need to look at the remote areas, and we need to, establish, equitable procedures there also. Why should people from the remote areas or marginalized areas be left behind? So we need to, provide them with all those facilities, all those universities that are in remote areas where accessibility is a problem, technology provision is a problem. So we need to provide them with that infrastructure also. This commission will be responsible for that. Then this commission can ensure online readiness standards for academic institutions as a regulator. So these standards need to be approved by them and then implemented by universities. Then this quality assurance commission can also oversee the teaching learning processes, the same way as face-to-face quality assurance mechanisms is being guided and assured by the Higher Education Commission. So this online commission can adopt that approach also. A very important area is the professional development for online operations at all levels. At the level of operations, at the level of faculty, students, management, all those providers, who provide us with technology. We need a professional, development, strong component with strong quality checks, so that the ultimate beneficiaries, who are the students, have access to quality education. Then a very important part is cybersecurity and ethical practices. Because you see, again, we are, all of us at times have become, victims of some unethical practices that, may erupt because of the use of online education. So this online commission can ensure cybersecurity and guide universities accordingly. Lastly, I hope I have not gone overboard with time. So my last slide is on, different quality assurance levels. what are some quality assurance levels that we can practice in universities? I would say, and research has also proved it, that we need to operate at 3 levels. One, we need to have an initial check on the readiness status. Are we ready to launch the online education programs? Number 2, we need to have an ongoing monitoring mechanism also to collect the data for improvement. This, I would say, a formative check to see whether the online programs are being run with quality in mind. And thirdly,
I think she has got disconnected. So she has highlighted like thought-provoking points that, and I really like the idea of doing a survey before, setting up an online system, which is like, checking that the students who are taking their online classes, whether they have internet, whether they have all the facilities that they'll use for their online classes. Okay, we'll just wait for her, like for a few minutes, or by the time she joined us again. Let us take Dr. Nasreen's.
Can you hear my voice?
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, we can hear you now. So let me introduce her again. All right, so Dr. Nasreen Hussain works at the Institute of Business Management, Karachi, and brings to academia over 40 years of diverse teaching, administrative, research, and consultancy experience. Her forte is in qualitative research methods with a special focus in field research. Her specialization includes teacher education, ESP, strategic planning, educational planning, leadership development, and organizational learning. Dr. Nasreen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Nasreen, with this largest disruption in education system affecting millions of learners worldwide, what is the impact of this sudden change on students, teachers, and parents? I mean, how they had accepted this change. Can you please?
This is exactly what I'm going to touch on. And since Fatma also teaches at a university in my city, that's Karachi, so most of the things that she has already said apply to me as well. But I'll try to, add a little bit more to what Fatma has said, which will make a little bit of sense. And I will also touch upon the existing COVID situation in Pakistan, especially Karachi, which is going to give everybody a different perspective of what's happening over here. So if I can start off with this, what happened in March 2020, all the dark blue spots that you saw, one fine day it was said that COVID is there. What is COVID? Nobody knew, but everybody was sure that it's a disaster, and it's a disaster for the humanity. So the first thing that, that came to our mind was close down schools. So we closed down schools so the students, they wouldn't have any contact and this disaster wouldn't take place. So what happened was that 89% of the world's student population were out of school immediately, suddenly, without even anybody knowing about it. And this included 1.52 billion children and youth and 743 million girls. So, I mean, I have included girls just to, give us an idea as to the girls were the most sufferers. Then the literature talks about a term, which is NEET, N-E-E-T. Now, these are those youths who are not in education, who are not in employment, and they are unemployed, and they are neither in taking any courses in vocational training. So they were 267 million. So not only the government of different countries, but the world at large was lost. They just didn't know what to do, how to handle such a pandemic situation. Okay, I would like to now show you what is happening in Pakistan. Everything was fine. We started our schools from September 1st in cohorts. First was class 9 to 11, which was going okay. Then from September 15th, everybody said that classes 5 to 8 will start operating. And then September 3rd, it would be the primary classes 1 to 4. Now, as per the minister of Sindh, we have got 4 provinces. And I am based in Sindh, which is one of the provinces in the south of Pakistan. When he went to visit schools to find out whether they were all operating on the SOPs that were developed for them, he found that nobody was wearing masks. He found that there were no hand sanitizers. He found that the buildings hadn't been disinfected. So then COVID test was conducted. And when COVID test was conducted, it was found that 15% of the people in the schools, those had reopened, they had COVID positive. Now, this was an alarming situation. This made them think that whether we should, the schools were sealed, the schools were shut down, and this happened country-wise. Now, should we allow the schools to reopen for classes 5 and 8? And they said, no, I don't think that we would like to take this risk. So they delayed it until 28th. Day before yesterday, a notice was given out that the schools will reopen on the 28th. But with what is happening now, the cases are increasing. I don't think that the schools will reopen on the 28th. Another notification will definitely come out very soon. What happened on 28th, 2020? Can you see all the dark red spots? The dark red spots, these are extreme COVID cases that have come up. The lighter ones are less than that. And then the pink ones are, lesser than that. And this is lesser than that. If you recall the first slide that I showed, the map, this was full of COVID. Now this has decreased. There was nothing here. This is absolutely out of control now. This was out of control earlier as well as now. So, we can't say that this is a safe world. It's not a safe world. We really have to be very careful about what happens, and especially what happens in schools, because as teachers, we are concerned that, the health and the welfare and the well-being of the students is intact. This is going to give you a better idea. The larger the bubble, the more cases, right? Okay. The smaller the bubbles, less cases, and these are all dots. So we shouldn't be worrying about it. The local scenario is right from March. 40 million students were displaced. 10% or approximately 4 million students of higher private schools have resumed learning through online tutorials. Rest go to public institutions and have been abandoned by the system. We have three systems working in Pakistan. One is private, one is public, and the other is madrasa. We don't have a lot of data on madrasa, what's happening over there, but definitely we have data on what's happening in public schools and in private schools. Private schools, they put in their socks and they tried to do something. They cooked up things, and they tried to please the parents that, the students are online because they were drawing fees from them. So they had to prove that something was happening. The private schools had no structures, they had no training, they had no resources. So in a way, nothing was happening in public schools. However, if you see over here, the government developed very strong SOPs, but these SOPs were not doable in public schools because again, they didn't have the resources. Would they have resources to disinfect the buildings? Do they have the resources to train the teachers? Do they have the resources to put up, taps so that the students can wash hands? And what about the masks? Each mask at our end costs about 15 to 20 rupees. And 15 to 20 rupees, you can get a piece of bread. So those who can't afford food at all, how will they afford this mask, which is 15, 20, or probably it's more than that. When it's peak time, the price of the mask goes up. So, these were not doable SOPs that were set by the government. Although I shouldn't blame the government, they tried their level best to come up with the best SOPs, but they just didn't work. So what is happening? I just mentioned about the education sectors. 31% of the students, they go to private sector schools, institutions, and 69 go to public sector. Now, 69% of the students were sitting at home doing nothing, almost nothing, right? Then we have, and over here, yes, something was done. So, I mean, everybody was busy. Whether they were learning or not, that's a different thing, but they were all busy. Okay, then we have over here, percentage of students enrolled in public school, 13% only in private schools, 87% in public schools. Again, 87 were just roaming about, doing nothing, psychologically affected, because there are many students who go to private sectors and they want to learn, they want to become something. Now, if they are sitting at home, they get into wrong habits. They get into an environment, not a congenial environment, even family environment is sometimes, you know, not bearable. So they have been exposed to all these things during the past 6 months, which is something that the government is extremely worried about. The government is aware of it, and the government is extremely worried about. All right. I think I'll do it. Okay. So what we did was, what everybody, the private schools especially, they did was that, you know, and even the other institutions, organizations, EU, UNESCO, World Bank, Google, other publishing houses, they all pooled in their expertise and resources and made free online resources open for all. Anybody could access it. But the students in the public schools, they don't have smartphones, they don't have iPads, they don't have laptops, they don't have computers. So even if all this was free, they couldn't still get an access to it. And this is surprising, and that was a surprise for me as well, that only 10% of the countries globally have a robust internet capabilities. The others don't. Like, you know, we talk about tech-savvy teachers, tech-savvy students, but it's only 10% of the overall picture. And WHO says that there is no universal digital curriculum for learning at all. Now, if I were to say that, people wouldn't have believed it, but this is what WHO says, and this is a matter of concern for all of us. So what Pakistan did was that Pakistan developed its own educational platforms for their own university and school-going students, which was free of cost. One was a TV channel. The other was also, you know, a TV channel as well as something that you could do on smartphone, and also over here, smartphone as well as TV. But the thing is that all these were subject-based, content-based. They were all content-based. They were not skill-based, if you're talking about English. They were content-based. So how many people watched this or didn't watch it? We don't know. How many people made use of it? We have no idea, because there were houses where there was no TV channel as well. So, I mean, what are we talking about? There was no TV. There were no smartphones. All right, coming to English as a subject, because this is all about English. English teaching in Pakistan is taught as a subject. It is not taught as a skill, right? So there is no concept of TEFL. I'm again hitting on the public schools. And because you see, we have all, what I've seen is that I've participated in many webinars, many conferences, and they all focus on private schools, forgetting that there is a sector which is called the public schools as well. So what's happening over there in public schools? English is taught as a subject. It's irrelevant, whatever that is taught. The focus of teachers and students is on completion of syllabus and preparation for board examinations. So there is no mention of how skills can be developed. The course books and worksheet have served the purpose. And this goes for schools as well as the universities. Now I'll explain it a little bit more. Whoever was online, even the public sector, they hardly cared whether there were any platforms open or whether any interactive classes going on, because a photocopy or a snapshot, a screenshot of what was there in the workbook served the purpose. So they took a screenshot, put it up there, and the comprehension exercise was done. Controlled writing was done. There is no speaking because that cannot be done. And a little bit of listening was done if the audio was properly recorded. So in a way, I mean, whatever that we have been seeing, you know, various platforms, these platforms were of no use to public sector schools. Universities, we'll talk about universities later on. So I realized that, you know, there were three things that were required to switch on to online learning. One is access to internet, the right technology, and the skills to use the technology. Unfortunately, we hardly have any of these three. I don't know what's happening in other parts of the country, but we have access to internet in cities, and that also it's extremely abrupt. The signals are very weak. In the interior or in the suburbans or in the rural areas, this is also not available. The right technology, that means, you know, the right platforms where you can extract lessons for the students to present them to the students. Then skills to use the technology. No, I'm sorry, we don't have those skills. The private school teachers who have been taking classes regularly, they are all self-learned teachers. Nobody has given them any training. And my Pakistani colleagues, please correct me if I'm wrong. No training has been given. They have learned things on their own. As I mentioned, the government has prepared very strong and very good SOPs for the schools, and so has the Higher Education Commission. Higher Education Commission is a governing body for the universities. And since, you know, it is a governing body for the universities that guides the teachers, the faculty, the president, the VCs, the rectors, they have a little bit more control on the universities. So these SOPs have been developed by Higher Education Commission, which is a governing body, and that also in consonance with the university. They haven't developed it on their own. So if anything goes wrong, they were never blamed directly for it. And I really like this, that anything that went wrong during these 6 months, nobody said that HEC, you have done something wrong. It was everybody together, because fortnightly meetings were held with HEC of all the VCs and the rectors, and all the problems were shared, solutions were sought, and it was more of a family matter, rather than, you know, HEC sitting thousands of miles away from Karachi, for example. Teaching learning is meaningful with maximum engagement. They made sure of that. Course readiness was also ensured, and we made use of LMS, where everything was uploaded, because the HEC had said that we would like you to upload everything on LMS, whatever that you teach, no matter through which platform, whether it's Zoom or it's Google Meet or it's even, you know, if it's Skype, it has to be uploaded, because HEC can examine it anytime. So everybody was on its alert that, you know, if you don't do something right, we will be called for an explanation, which was really very good. Then quite a few public universities did not turn on to online, and this has been mentioned by Fatma as well, because there were problems. So everybody did not, and especially the public universities, they didn't switch on to online because they didn't have the infrastructure, they didn't have support, they didn't have the techniques, and so they just stayed back. My university was lucky, because we had anticipated something of that sort somewhere in November, when, you know, COVID was being talked about. So we said, you know, LMS is a good system, so let's see what LMS is all about. So we were given courses, we were given training, although we didn't even understand why the training was given to us. But come March, we could put, you know, the broken connections together to say that what we did in November is what we can use now in March. So we were on the alert, and I think we did a good job, and we were very, very successful. Of course, the students were not very happy about it. They were not happy about grading. They were not happy about the assessments. They were not even happy about the way that the faculty behaved with the students and vice versa. So all those things were there, but I mean, is there anything available in this world without problems? No, there is nothing. So we just went ahead, and I think we were quite successful in it. Now, what is it that we are really talking about? The resurgence. COVID has come back, at least in our part of the world, if not in other parts of the world. The institutions should understand that different level of students have different needs. And there is no common template for determining whether to educate students remotely, bring them back into the classroom, or create a hybrid model that combines both. Health protocols have to be put in place right at the beginning. And what are those health protocols? It's social distancing, it's wearing a mask, it's disinfecting the buildings, what I've already mentioned, which is a little bit hard to digest, which just cannot take place. Then we should ask ourselves that, are we as teachers, students, and parents, do we fall under the category of no tech, low tech, medium tech, or high tech? Where are we? Even if we are at between low and medium tech, I think we will survive. Unfortunately, we are not. Then again, teachers and parents need to feel safe and equipped to teach people over there. The children, the parents have to ensure that what is happening online, they know what is happening online and whether they can support their children or not. I met someone yesterday. She works for an institution, and she said that she leaves the house at 10 o'clock, comes back at 8 o'clock because of extra work. She has 2 children, maybe between the age of 10 to 13. They are alone at home. They attend online classes on their own. And when they come back, they cling to their mother. So the mother has no time at all to do anything. What they do online, the mother has no idea about it. So this is a bad situation, right? It's catch-22. If you're at home, then you will be out of work. The parents will be out of work. And then if they're out of work, then the students, you won't even know, what they are learning out online. One thing which is very important, I think there are 2 more slides, is that do we as teachers understand the emotional, social, and physical needs of the students? Do we understand that? Or are we just worried about what we bring to them on the screen? Do we understand the problems and the emotions that they go through? I don't think that we do. And there are reasons that we don't, because we have been instructed by our schools to teach them, all right? Number 1. Number 2, teachers at our end are not trained. So they haven't gone through a course of psychology, child psychology. So they won't even understand, what the feelings and the emotions and the stress level of the students are. So this is something that, the government has to look into. And they have to also realize that circumstances are changing at a very fast pace. Will we be able to catch up on all these things? What is it that that's going to happen to us, to our students? What is going to, and I think we are forgetting the well-being and the emotional stress of the teachers. The teachers are also under emotional stress, because if they don't do well and the parents complain, then their job goes away. So they are also on the alert. And I think it's a very bad situation that we have fallen into without realizing the effects of it. Okay, I've already talked about the resurgence. In a nutshell, online education needs a massive, penetrating, and revolutionary infrastructure. And that is only going to come from the government. That is only going to come from the private schools, for the private schools, and from the government for the government schools. Pooling resources research and real-time insights to invest in the generation of students is a global necessity. Now, I'm not talking only about Pakistan. I'm talking about globally, and I wouldn't even talk about globally. I would narrow down a little bit. I would talk first about the region, the country, then the region. What is happening in the region? Then probably, you know, Southeast Asia. And then go over there, because what's happening in the Western countries doesn't fit in contextually with what is happening at our end. So we have to balance up all these things. So there should be a change of hearts, souls, and minds, both for the students as well as for those who are imparting education, to bring about positive results. We have been talking about, I would just like to close my presentation with this note, that we have always been talking about digital divide, right? That there is a digital divide between developing countries and developed countries, and then cities, and then rural areas. Now the digital divide has widened. And if it has widened, it is problem. It is a warning sign for all of us. And with that note, I would like to say thank you to everybody. Thank you so much.
So much, Dr. Nasreen, and you have highlighted very important points. And I would like to add 2 points here. That as you mentioned, that 10% of our total population is, having the digital facilities and the devices actually. In those, even in those 10%, I would say that they are also not capable of using that facility and technology. Okay, our teachers are not trained enough, and there is a lot of room for improvement for our teachers. And as we see that our teachers are not digital natives, they are immigrants, and there's a lot of professional development, trainings for them too.
I agree with you, Fareen, and I would just like to show this to you, which I think I missed out. We are using all this, Google and yes. Zoom and Read Theory and whatever it is. But the
effective use of all these.
Yes, the activities are not contextualized. The activities are not contextualized. And then we cannot use Flipgrid to create our own videos because we are not tech savvy. We cannot use Animoto to create videos because again, we are not tech savvy. So I think this is the time where teacher training should be done to the maximum.
I must say the teachers have done a really good job because they have changed the education system in just,
excuse me.
Excuse
me. I think the time is over.
Okay.
Can we take questions from the audience or?
Okay, maybe one question, maybe.
Okay, there was one question for Dr. Fatma Dar, which I would like to address. Dr. Fatma, would you like to come again for having your closing remarks and answer one question too?
Sure. So, I began end my discussion. So yes, I would.
Dr. Fatma, are you here? Yes. Okay. So there is one question that you were saying that institutional readiness and faculty readiness and student readiness. Okay. So institutions should be, should conduct research before to know readiness level. This was asked by one of the participants, that how if the minimum parameters repairment not meet, and how to solve the pool of content, material, resources, assessment channel for communication. And one more question, that in Indonesian context, online education is substitution. If you cannot meet in classroom normally, how to change that paradigm? So this question.
Slightly more details about readiness. You see, one thing that we and experienced was that once elsewhere in Pakistan also, that more
Dr. Fatma, your voice is not clear. There's some distortion.
Maybe Fatma can type it in.
Yes, maybe you can write in the chat box. Yeah.
If you write in the chat box. Can't hear you. We can't
Yes, your
hear
voice
you.
is not clear.
Right, type.
Okay, so with this, we are ending our panel discussion. It was a great discussion, and the points and the ideas that were discussed in the panel discussion were great, and it was nice having you, Dr. Fatma Dar and Dr. Nasreen here. And thank you, Teflin, for inviting us, for inviting SPEL presenters to present for the conference. It was a great opportunity for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the Teflin, I think I would like to say thank you again to Ms. Farhin Hassan as the moderator, and also Professor Dr. Nasreen, and also Dr. Fatma Rehandar as for the presenting the material for us. And it's very interesting, and I hope in the future we can have this kind of presentation again. And then on behalf of the committee, I would like to have an announcement for everybody in this webinar, that the committee would like to have a picture of us. So the committee asks if you all to to turn on your video, so that the committee can have a screenshot of your of your identity on the screen. The committee, are you ready?
Yes, Miss Isti, we are ready to take a picture.
Mm-hmm. Everybody, please turn on your video, or sorry, your camera. And give your very big, wonderful smiles.
One, two,
Thank you very
three.
much. SPEL Pakistan. Thank you, Dr. Fatima, Dr. Nasreen, Farhin, Uma.
Bantu.
I hope we can invite you again next time.
To join us at our conference, which is going to happen on 7th and 8th in November.
Yeah.
Is it done? The committee? IT people?
Okay.
Is it done? Have you finished taking the picture?
After a moment, Miss Farniat, this is so many slides.
You want to take it again?
Yes.
Okay. You ready?
Okay, ma'am, we are finished.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
See you again. We will have the last webinar or seminar on Monday. Please join us again on Monday. We will start at the same time at 1:30 Jakarta time, and don't forget to fill out the form for the certificate.
Okay,
yeah, it will be until 8 o'clock tonight, and then maybe Bapak Ihsanuddin from the head of Teflin for Regional West Kalimantan. Do you want to say something, Pak, before we close?
Just want to say thank you very much to everyone, especially the spelters from Pakistan. And everyone, you will be informed about every update, especially about the meeting ID and password. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Okay, bye. Bye, everybody.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening.
Thank you, ma'am.
You may play the video as the closing.
Masuk nggak suaranya?
Udah tutup, Bu Nani, sudah selesai. Sudah. Thank you everyone.
Thank you everyone. See you on Monday. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam kami dari IAIN Pontianak, Teflin, Indonesia, Kalimantan Barat.